Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to try and make sense of something that touches almost all of our lives: American consumer debt. So, let's start this explainer not with a big, scary number, but with a feeling. A feeling I think many of us know well. That sense that debt isn't some sudden event. It's more like a tide that just slowly, quietly rises until one day you realize you're surrounded. So, to really get a handle on this feeling, we first have to be clear on what we're even talking about. What is consumer debt? To put it simply, consumer debt is just the money we borrow for our everyday lives. For the homes we live in, the cars we drive, our education, and all the things we buy. The key thing here is that it's separate from money borrowed for, say, a business or an investment. Okay, so let's pull back that curtain and really look at the scale of this invisible tide. Now, these numbers, they can be pretty startling. But honestly, seeing them clearly is the first real step. Get ready for this. As of the middle of 2025, Americans collectively owed over $8 trillion in consumer debt. I mean, that's a number so big it's hard to even wrap your head around, right? And a number that large, well, it affects everything, from interest rates to the health of the whole economy. So what does that massive number mean for us, for individuals? It breaks down to an average of just over $100,000 for every single American consumer. But here's where it gets really interesting when you look at the breakdown. Because this debt isn't all one thing, right? It's spread all across our lives. For homeowners, yeah, mortgages are the biggest piece of the pie. But then you have auto loans, student loans, and credit cards, and each one is its own significant financial weight. But here's the thing about averages. They can hide a lot. They paint a picture of a single story. But the reality is, the experience of debt is not universal at all. It hits different people in vastly different ways. Analysts have started talking about this K-shaped divide. And what that means is that while some people are actually strengthening their financial position, that's the top arm of the K going up, a lot of other people are facing more and more challenges. That's the bottom arm of the K going down. We're seeing more people move to the very ends of the credit spectrum. And this chart, it shows that divide perfectly. Now, you might think people with lower credit scores have more debt, but look at this. It's kind of the opposite. People with exceptional credit, they actually hold the most debt on average. Why? Because they can leverage that good credit to get bigger loans for things like houses. Meanwhile, people with lower scores might have less debt in sheer dollars, but they're often stuck with much higher interest rates, which creates a totally different kind of financial pressure. And you see this same kind of split when you look across the generations. Right now, it's Generation X that's carrying the heaviest load. They're often caught in that sandwich generation, paying for kids while also maybe helping their own parents. And that's a huge contrast to, say, Gen Z, who are really just starting out, or the baby boomers, who are in a different phase, often paying down their debts as they head into retirement. So all of this brings us right back to where we started. If these numbers are so huge, why does debt so often feel, invisible, manageable even? The answer, it turns out, is all about psychology. Okay, one of the biggest reasons is something called the minimum payment trap, and it is such a powerful psychological trick. You make that minimum payment and you feel like you're doing the right thing, you're current, but in reality, you're barely making a dent in what you actually owe. Most of that payment is just getting eaten up by interest. It's like you're on a treadmill. You're working hard, but you're not really going anywhere. And that's not all. There are other psychological things that kind of camouflage the real cost of our spending. It's become normal to carry a credit card balance, right? And we see other people's lifestyles online, but we never see the debt that's paying for it. Plus, just swiping a card or tapping your phone, it doesn't feel like you're spending real money, not in the same way as handing over cash. All these little things make it easier and easier to take on more debt without really feeling its weight. Okay, so seeing the debt for what it is, that's step one. But the most important step, it's knowing that there's a path to actually regain control. And the good news is it's probably more accessible than you think. And look, you don't have to pay for some expensive service to get started. According to the experts, the power to take those first steps is already in your hands, and you can start for free. The Federal Trade Commission lays out a really simple 3-step plan to get going. First, make a budget. Just see where your money is actually going. Second, and this is a big one, contact your creditors. Don't wait for them to contact you. And third, try to work with them. See if you can negotiate a new payment plan, something you can actually manage. Ultimately, what we're talking about here is a huge shift in how you think about all this. It's about moving from just managing, just trying to keep your head above water, to actively working to eliminate the debt. It's really the difference between renting your present from your creditors and actually owning your future. So we'll leave you with a final thought, a question that really gets to the heart of all of this. What's the real difference between available credit and actual cash? That available credit line on your statement, it feels like a safety net, doesn't it? But it's not money in the bank. And really, truly understanding the difference between that number and your actual liquidity, the cash you really have, that's the key. That's how you see debt for what it is and how you start building real financial security.